President Biden just had his much anticipated interview with ABC News' George Stephanopoulos. And while one interview isn't going to negate his poor debate performance that we all witnessed, it is a step in the right direction, and he had a lot of great answers in this unedited interview that was posted. But it's what George Stephanopoulos said after the interview about Donald Trump that has a lot of people talking. I've got some highlights from the interview that I want to share with you guys, and then I'll show you exactly what George said about Donald Trump. You don't want to miss this. It's all coming right up. George Stephanopoulos wasted no time and jumped right into the question about what happened at the debate. And listen to what Joe Biden said.
You and your team have said you had a bad night. But your friend Nancy Pelosi actually framed the question that I think is on the minds of millions of Americans. Was this a bad episode or the sign of a more serious condition?
It was a bad episode. No indication of any serious condition. I was exhausted. I didn't listen to my instincts in terms of preparing, and I had a bad night.
This is the kind of explanation that I've been looking for from Joe Biden. We know this is not the Joe Biden that we've been watching for the last 3.5 years. Something was off, and now he's been providing more and more information. It was a bad night, he was exhausted, his travel schedule was too intense, and these are all things that he can change for the next debate in September and all public events moving forward. And I think we're going to see that. It sounds like Joe Biden was pushing his body too far, and he's finally realized, hey, there's some limits here. And hey, when you're 81 years old, you can't do everything you used to do when you were younger, even just a couple years ago. So I'm glad to hear Joe Biden providing a further explanation and owning up to the fact that he had a poor debate performance. That's important. Next up, George wanted to challenge President Biden about his ability to beat Donald Trump. Listen to this.
But are you being honest with yourself as well about your ability to defeat Donald Trump right now?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
You say that, and let me challenge you.
Sure.
Because you were close, but behind going into the debate. You're further behind now, by any measure. It's been a two-man race for several months. Inflation has come down. In those last few months, he's become a convicted felon, yet you're still falling further behind.
You guys keep saying that. George, you know polling better than anybody. Do you think polling data is accurate as it used to be?
I don't think so, but I think when you look at all of the polling data right now, it shows that he's certainly ahead in the popular vote, probably even more ahead in the battleground states. And one of the other key factors there is it shows that in many of the battleground states, the Democrats who are running for Senate and the House are doing better than you are.
So a couple of things here. Number one, I don't think the polls are accurate. The polls predicted Democrats losing by double digits in the midterms, and we went on to win easily in a lot of races that we shouldn't even have bothered investing in. But those polls told us that we were far behind. Also, George Stephanopoulos said this has been a two-man race for a while. While technically that's true, I think a lot of the American electorate still feels like somebody can replace Joe Biden as the Democratic nominee, and that is leading to some sour feelings about him. And also, people are not really invested in the race yet, as crazy as that sounds with just 125 days or so until the election, but they are still remembering some positive things about Donald Trump, and they don't know much about Joe Biden except the negative things that have found their way to the top of their Twitter feeds or on TikTok or whatever. So people don't have all the information that they'll have as we get closer to the election. As far as down ballot candidates like governors or senators polling better than Joe Biden, I actually think that's probably an accurate reflection of where things are at. Those are state polls. These are people a little more invested in their candidates. And I think Joe Biden is going to be carried across the finish line by those same voters. Why would they vote for a Democrat for Senate or governor, congressman, whatever, and then not vote for Joe Biden at the top of the ticket? People are voting for the Democratic Party's agenda, for our policy positions. So of course they're going to vote for Joe Biden as well, even if they have some negative feelings about him. But George wanted to harp on this point that Biden is down in the polls as if it means Biden surely will be defeated. And President Biden had a great response to this.
You haven't seen the fall off in the polls. You haven't seen the reports of discontent in the Democratic Party, House Democrats, Senate Democrats.
I've seen it from the press.
That was a long pause right there. I love it. And it's so true. The press has been fixated on this story that Biden is being pressured to drop out and that the Democrats are looking to float a new candidate. I think they're just playing up the drama. This has been a sleepy election cycle. People are bored to tears at the idea of President Biden versus ex-President Donald Trump. It's been hard to get people engaged in this election, but now the press has their hands on a story after that poor performance by President Biden, and they can start drumming up this idea that Democrats are seriously thinking about replacing Joe Biden. And while these conversations are happening, I think people are realizing that they got a little hysterical after the debate and that maybe it was just a rough night for President Biden. And now he's been re-energized and to go out there and prove to people that he's just fine and he can serve another 4 years, and to disprove all the critics that say he's got something wrong with him. And hey, I think it's got a lot of people engaged in the election now, and that's good for everybody. Next, George asked President Biden to address the critics who say he cannot beat Donald Trump, and Biden had a great answer. Watch this.
But they are worried about you and the country, and they don't think you can win. They want you to go with grace, and they will cheer you if you do. What do you say to them?
I say the vast majority are not where those folks are. I don't doubt there's some folks there. Have you ever seen a group at a time when elected officials running for office aren't a little worried? Have you ever seen that? I've not. Same thing happened in 2020. Oh, Biden, I don't know, man. What's he going to do? He may bring me down. He may.
Mr. President, I've never seen a president at 36% approval get reelected.
Well, I don't believe that's my approval rate. That's not what our polls show.
I agree with President Biden here. I don't think his approval numbers match where the American people are at. When the time comes to push a button for Biden or Trump, the vast majority of people that are kind of iffy on Biden right now will gladly press that button for Biden because they know he's 10 times better than Donald Trump. But right now, people seem to believe that there's an alternative. There's got to be another way. Someone else can get in there. And it's just leading to negative feelings. So I can't wait till we get closer to the November 5th election and people learn more positive things about Biden and they hear more negative things about Donald Trump. People are just kind of waking up to the election right now. Those were some highlights from the interview. Biden got through it without any gaffes, and it was a great job by Biden. I don't kid myself that this one interview is going to alleviate people's concerns about Biden's ability to serve. But it's one of a bunch of things Biden's going to do over the next 4 months between now and the election to prove to the American people that not only is he healthy, but he's up for the job for the next 4 years. So I think it's going to work out well just based off watching this interview. That being said, there was a moment right at the end of the interview where George Stephanopoulos came and spoke right into the camera and said something about Donald Trump that's got everybody talking. Watch this.
The NATO conference here in the United States next week. Come listen. See what they say.
Mr. President, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
ABC News also offered a one-on-one interview to Donald Trump after the debate. He declined.
Wow. Donald Trump declined an interview with ABC News. What's up with that? Is he scared? Is he concerned they might expose him? Can he not sit there for 20 minutes like Biden and do an interview without looking foolish? A lot of the internet's wondering what's going on. Needless to say, that was a great interview by Biden. Hopefully he does 100 more things like that between now and the election, and people will feel a lot better about his ability to serve moving forward.